Hello everyone, and today we're going to be making traditional Russian Easter bread Kulich. Kulich is extremely popular around Easter time and every household makes it. There are lots of different variations of Kulich, and today I'm going to be sharing with you one of my favorite ones. Kulich is very similar to panettone, but the dough is different. It's not as airy and light. It's got more substance, more weight, it's more moist. So if you want to find out what kulich tastes like, join me with my cooking. So to make a kulich, you will need 250 milliliters of warm milk, 120 grams of soft butter, 175 grams of caster sugar, 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil, 50 grams of sour cream, 15 grams of cognac, 30 grams of fresh yeast. If you're using dry yeast, just use 3 times less. 2 eggs and 4 egg yolks, and some raisins and mixed peel. I soaked my raisins for 2 days, but you can soak it overnight. I've got 100 grams of raisins and 50 grams of cognac. I also added mixed peel to make up to 200 grams of dried fruit. You can only use raisins or mixed peel, it's up to you. And finally, you need 750 grams of strong flour. You will also need panettone molds. You can get bigger ones or smaller ones. I have 5 in my pack, that should be enough. This is 500 grams, but you can get bigger ones or smaller. Depends how big you want your kulich to be. And first we're going to make a starter. We're going to add 250 milliliters of warm milk in a bowl. Crumble 30 grams of fresh yeast in. Mix it all together until all the yeast dissolves. And then we're going to add 250 grams of flour. I took it out of 750 grams. And mix it all together. We have our starter ready. And now we're going to cover it with cling film and put in a warm place for about 40 minutes. And while we're waiting for our starter, we're going to make a base for our kulich. We're going to add eggs in a bowl, followed by egg yolks, 175 grams of caster sugar, 1 tablespoon of sunflower oil or vegetable oil, 50 grams of sour cream, and some vanilla extract, about 1 tablespoon. And we're going to mix it all together. And when all the sugar dissolved and the mixture is lighter in color, we're going to add cognac. Don't be afraid to add cognac because it will add flavor. The alcohol will evaporate, but the kulich will stay fresher for longer. If you don't want to add cognac, you can add a little bit of orange juice and the orange zest. And look how well our starter has risen. It looks alive now. You can see it's full of bubbles and it's easily tripled in size. And now we're going to mix our starter with the egg base. We're going to mix it all together really well. And then we're going to add cognac. Mix and add all of the flour. So we're going to mix it all together, first with a spoon, and when you can't use spoon anymore, I'm going to use my hands. It's best to use food processor or mixer to make this dough, but today I'm just going to use my hands and a bowl. If you're using food processor, use a dough hook. It's a lot harder when you're using your hands, but I just wanted to show you today how it's done with hands. So keep mixing and stretching until the dough becomes more elastic and it doesn't stick to your hands as much. So when the dough becomes less sticky and comes off your hands easily, we're going to put it back in a bowl for another half an hour before mixing in the butter. So you don't need to reach a perfect non-sticky consistency just yet, because we're still going to mix in all our butter. So we're going to leave it for another half an hour in a warm place. Okay, half an hour later, our dough is really fluffy and light. And now we're going to start mixing in all of the butter, bit by bit. So take a little bit of soft butter and mix in. I'm going to do all the mixing in a bowl again, but if you want to use a mixer, you can use mixer with a dough hook. So just keep adding little bits of butter and keep mixing in. If you're using a food processor or mixer, the process is going to be quicker. If you're doing it by hand like me, it will probably take about 15 minutes. So as you can see now, the dough is very, very soft, but it doesn't stick to our hands at all. And now we're going to put it back in a bowl and cover with cling film and leave for another hour to rise. An hour later, and our dough has risen quite a lot. It's really soft and airy, very fluffy. So now we need to mix in our fruit. So I'm reminding you, I soaked 100 grams of raisins in a cognac, 50 milliliters, and added some mixed peel. Make sure when you use dry fruit, don't go over 200 grams. Maximum you can use is 250 grams, but try to stick to 200. So I'm going to put it in. And mix. So after all the fruit are mixed in, we're going to cover it with a cling film and leave it for another half an hour, just so the dough gets rested. So half an hour later, our dough is risen again, and now we're just going to divide it into pieces and put in our mold. I'm going to oil my table. And now I'm going to divide the dough. We need to fill these molds about 1/3 to maximum half its volume. So my molds are for 500 grams panettone. So I'm going to use 550 grams of dough. I divided it to 3 parts, and I'm going to get 3 pieces, 556 grams each. So I bring it into the bowl like this. Make sure raisins not sticking out on the top, because they're going to burn. And it's important to oil each piece so it doesn't stick to the mold. So we're gonna oil the sides and we're gonna put in a mold. So now I'm going to loosely cover it with a cling film and leave it until they're well risen. It could take up to an hour. Meanwhile, I'm going to preheat my oven to 170 degrees Celsius. They are ready to go in the oven. You can see how well they're risen and they're gonna rise more in the oven. So I'm going to put them in an oven for about half an hour, but you have to check depending how big your molds are. So meanwhile, I'm going to make icing or glaze for the top. In a saucepan, I've got 100 grams of icing sugar, 2 tablespoons of water, and 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. In a separate bowl, I've got 2 leaves of gelatin. If you use powdered gelatin, use 3 to 4 grams. I'm going to cover it with cold water and let it soak. So I just boiled icing sugar, water, and lemon juice. My gelatin is now soaked and I'm going to add it to the sugar mixture and mix. When all the gelatin is dissolved, we're going to use a hand mixer. So we're going to put it in a separate bowl and mix until light and airy. And that's the consistency that we need. So I baked my Kulich for 35 minutes and now I'm gonna let it cool down completely before putting icing on. But don't make the icing until your Kulich is cooled down because icing will set pretty fast. And decorate it anywhere you like. And our Kulich is ready.